Welcome back. Today marks the end of temporary protected status for nearly 11,000 Afghan refugees living here in the United States. TPS was granted to some Afghans after the U.S. military withdrawal in 2021. Among them, Christians fleeing persecution. The program offered protection from deportation to people facing danger in their home countries. The Trump administration justified the move by saying conditions have improved in Afghanistan, but human rights groups say the threat of religious persecution under the Taliban remains high. Back in May, more than a dozen prominent Christian leaders sent a letter to President Trump urging him to reconsider. Matthew Soerens joins us now. He is the Vice President of Policy and Advocacy at World Relief. Matthew, welcome. Great to have you with us this evening. So these 11,000 individuals, they're part of the roughly 200,000 Afghans who came to the U.S. after the fall of Kabul in August of 2021. Your reaction to this ending of the temporary protected status here in the United States for these 11,000 Afghans?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really difficult for me to understand the assessment that Afghanistan is now safe to return to. I don't think that anyone looking independently and objectively at the hardship facing particular categories of people in Afghanistan, like Christians or other religious minorities, or those who served alongside the U.S. military and are thus threatened by the Taliban, or frankly, just women and girls who took advantage of the opportunity for education and now have had that opportunity withdrawn. Unfortunately, Afghanistan remains one of the poorest countries in the world and one where persecution is very, very severe, especially for Christians and other religious minorities.
Yeah. The White House says conditions have improved enough for them to return. It points to things like a decrease in threats of terrorism against the Taliban and improving food insecurity. The administration also says that some of these TPS holders pose a threat to U.S. national security. What do you make of that part of it? Saying that some of them might pose a threat to security here.
Well, I mean, these are individuals who, by nature of applying for temporary protected status, went through and passed a criminal background check. If there's any sort of reason to think that any of them presents a credible threat to the United States, of course they should be removed. But these are individuals who've already been verified to not have a criminal background. And I think, we need to have the discretion to be able to distinguish between a persecuted Christian and someone who, has committed acts of crime or even potential terrorism. The reality is withdrawing TPS from everyone means that anyone with that designation, if they can't apply for some other legal protection, which many of them just don't qualify for, sends them back or risks sending them back to very severe danger and even persecution.
Matthew, so back in May, when the White House first announced that it was going to do this, more than a dozen Christian leaders sent a letter to President Trump asking him to reconsider. Matthew, what would you say to President Trump on this issue?
Yeah, I would really appeal to President Trump. I think he's probably getting some bad advice from some folks who are very eager to just eliminate legal immigration possibilities for broad swaths of people who are here lawfully, who entered lawfully. But President Trump himself has actually spoken really affirmatively of legal immigration, and I think that he understands, having been president during the part of the Afghan war, the threats that many categories of people in Afghanistan would face. So I would really appeal to President Trump to have mercy on these Afghans, and frankly on others who came into the country lawfully, who've been here lawfully, who've undergone criminal background checks, and shouldn't be caught up in these sweeps, these immigration raids that are threatening to send people back to very dangerous humanitarian situations.
Yeah. Does World Relief have any footprint in that part of the world, Matthew? And are there any efforts to get into a place like Afghanistan?
We don't have any operations right now in Afghanistan, but we have served a very large number of Afghans here in the United States. Many thousands of Afghans who came in lawfully to the United States after the fall of Kabul, and frankly, even before, people who had served alongside the U.S. military, those who are persecuted religious minorities. And because we're serving them very directly, we're very, very concerned about just the incredible levels of stress. I mean, people are hiding in their homes in the United States because they're afraid of being detained, separated from family, and deported back to what are, from the folks we do know on the ground in Afghanistan, are very, very harsh conditions with very real threats of persecution.
Yeah. All right, Matthew Soerens with World Relief. It's great work that you all do. Thank you for everything that you do there, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you.